When I visited China in 2018, there was all these different stores that we went to that had all different kinds of Chinese snacks. And I fell in love with this one snack that I'm going to call sesame nut bars. I don't know what they were called in Chinese, but I fell in love with them. I even brought some home, and then I really tried to come up with my own recipe to make them because I've never seen them really sold as a common snack here in the United States. So, and you can make these very variable with all different ingredients. I would consider the main base ingredient peanuts. So I have chopped a whole bunch of peanuts. The only issue is I've been standing here for about an hour hand chopping a whole bunch of nuts because I have never found a food processor that you can put a bunch of nuts in and you don't end up with pulverized powder in the bottom of the container and then a whole bunch of big nuts on top. So I have been hand chopping these so that it's a good size. So it takes time, turn on some good music or a show. And then you can, so that's my base, is all the peanuts. And then I chopped up some walnuts. I've used pecans before too. And again, you can make whatever you like. Obviously, this isn't for a peanut tree nut allergy person. I do love to use a lot of roughly chopped sunflower seeds. Put those in there. And then I also have some pumpkin seeds that are roughly chopped. And then a big part of the ones in China, they had a lot of seeds, particularly sesame seeds. So I'm going to use this whole container of black and white sesame seeds. Now when I've made these in the past, I've also added flax seeds and chia seeds, and I'm just feeling a little simplistic today and not going to use those. Again, you can put whatever you want in them. And so I'm going to stir up all these nuts. And then the only other ingredient is I'm going to use honey because it's going to be your binding agent. So I'm going to pour some honey while I'm mixing all these. The problem is if you don't add enough honey and you just, I can't really judge the amount of nuts and seeds I've used, and I don't really judge how much honey I use either. What I do is I just pour in some honey. And then I start stirring it. So I'm going to start there. I'm sure I'm going to need more, but we'll see. So then I'm going to start stirring this up. Ooh, and I think a couple shakes of sea salt would be nice because I used raw peanuts that aren't salted. So some salt will be good. I'll use that too. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this up. If you don't use enough honey, these will end up like, basically you'll end up with granola, like cereal. It's all going to crumble and fall apart. And I'm going to press these into bars. And then I put them in the fridge for about a day or overnight. And then take them out and cut them up into bars. But if you don't use enough honey, they'll just crumble apart, which is fine. They're just hard and inconvenient to eat. And then if you can use a lot of honey, they'll just be crispier and sweeter. So I'm going to keep adding and stirring to my liking and grab the sea salt, and I'll be back. So I've stirred up enough honey into my nut and seed mixture until it's pretty shiny and sticky. And it took a lot of honey. As you can tell, this jar was almost full. So I used a lot of honey, but again, it's to your liking. And I would say for ratios, it's probably about 6 parts peanuts to 2 parts sunflower seeds, and then 1 to 2 parts of other nuts, 1 part sesame seeds, and then if you do chia seeds, flax seeds. So again, you just make it to your liking. So after it was all sticky, normally I make this in an 8x8 or a 9x9 pan, and it made so much I had to get out a 9x13. This is a first. And so I poured it all in here, and then normally my parchment paper, I put down parchment paper first, so this will just pop out. It makes it so much easier. Normally I can just spread this and push it down and kind of make it tight with just the parchment paper, but because I use such a big pan, I just took a piece of foil and I just pushed this all firmly into my pan. And so now I'm going to take this and put it in the fridge for probably 24 hours, and I'll be back tomorrow to show you the final product. All right, so my sesame nut bars have been firming up in the fridge for over 24 hours, so exciting times. So because of the parchment paper, this just lifts right out of the pan. Love it. And just pull away the parchment paper. I love to cut them up with a big knife on a large cutting board, and whatever size you want. And then I keep them just in a Tupperware container, cut up, and I keep them in the fridge. That will keep it will keep them firm in texture and not crumbly and falling apart. And it's always good to have nuts and seeds in the fridge because the oils in them can go rancid. So I actually got all my ingredients for this out of the fridge or the freezer. So I'm gonna cut a little piece here. I'm excited to try it because I make them a little different each time, so it's always exciting. So let's see. Yum. Super good. So nice texture. I really like them this time. And you can really customize them if you want them more nutty or seedy. So if you're looking for a nutritious snack, I highly recommend it. I have one last additional comment that I forgot. There's two versions of my sesame nut bars that I made today. I forgot to mention that you can bake it. I made a raw version. I don't have access to an oven right now, so I had to do that. In the past, I've baked it. You have to just watch it. I typically did 350 to 375 for 25 to 30 minutes. You watch it until it just starts to turn a lightly golden brown. It ends up with a different texture. It's a little firmer, stays together better, and it's more of a roasted flavor. I might prefer that one better, but it's great to have two different options, so enjoy my recipe. Research shows that clicking the thumbs up and subscribe button will make fingers healthy and strong, and besides, it's free.